I don't know how many people had Subnautica 2 on their radar, but it is a perfect example as to the importance of the Stop Killing Games initiative, exposing the scummy practices of AAA. Now, this isn't so much of a game's preservation conundrum, it's just simply, scummy companies doing scummy things, and holding them to account is far more important than almost anything else in the industry. So case in point, Subnautica 2 publisher Krafton fired all three original founders of Unknown Worlds and delayed the game to 2026, preventing developers from receiving $250 million in bonuses. Okay, so you signed a contract to, for various bonuses that are out there, and instead of paying you out for a game that, I know that there was some buzz behind the original Subnautica, and honestly, I'm very unaware about the overall fan base, but there was some interesting developments. I seen a couple of sketchy character designs and some other unflattering images of Subnautica 2 a few months back, but this right here, this ends up taking the cake, because now this boycott campaign has arisen, and instead of paying out $250 million to different developers in the form of bonuses, now they're dealing with a massive flop on their hands. But yes, do not buy Subnautica 2. Publisher Krafton fired all three original founders of Unknown Worlds. Delayed the game to 2026 so the devs wouldn't receive the $250 million in bonuses. Do not support these shady business practices. Do not buy Subnautica 2. For their context and sources in comments, just over a week ago, co-founders of Unknown Worlds, Ted Gill, Charlie Cleveland, and Max McGuire were fired abruptly without reason. It is important to note that they had little involvement in the development of Subnautica 2 itself. The community has given no reason why. Now we can only continue to speculate. However, today Krafton delayed Subnautica 2 to 2026 despite developers maintaining their original deadline as soon as 2 days ago. It has also been revealed that had Unknown Worlds reached a quota this year, they would have received $250 million in bonuses, and that would be spread to all staff. So this isn't a quarter bill bones just being divvied up between three bigwigs. No. This is an entire studio that gets done dirty due to corporate greed. And as such, former Subnautica 2 leadership suing Krafton after their firing. Former leadership at Subnautica 2 developer Unknown Worlds is suing the game's publisher Krafton, just hours after Krafton released an email blaming former executives Charlie Cleveland, Max McGuire, and Ted Gill for the game failing to meet its early access deadlines. The game's former director has taken to Reddit to announce a lawsuit, which, going back to this email right here, there was a leak that also came out, and Krafton confirms, leaked a Subnautica 2 developer document, and this is, like I said, this is a case study as to why exposing shady business practices and casting a light on these scummy companies is important. Because for as much as I like to meme about, just watching the AAA industry burn around us, I want video games to succeed, okay? A lot of that is in jest, and a lot of it is born out of how much I like gaming. And so if we can weed out the ne'er-do-wells and evildoers, I think that there's a chance to revive this industry before it totally and completely collapses. Or, if we expose enough of these scumbags, somebody grab the matches, because I'll grab the canister of gasoline and we can just let this bitch burn. But the drama surrounding Subnautica 2's development and its publisher Krafton continues to get more interesting by the day. Not only has the game been delayed and fired the leadership, are now suing the publisher, but an internal dev document for the game has been made public. It first appeared on the unofficial Subnautica 2 subreddit and showed the state of the game's development for a May 2025 milestone update. After the document continued to make the rounds, Krafton sent out a media release to address its legitimacy, and as it turns out, the document is real. The document has been circulating on social media and reported by various outlets is indeed part of the internal milestone review conducted as part of Subnautica 2 project, the publisher's PR team said. Krafton has confirmed that portions of it had been leaked and are now being widely shared across online platforms and within the fan community. Krafton recognizes the confusions that this has caused because of how rapidly the documents have been shared. Krafton says that it felt the need to address it and believes that transparent communication is necessary right now. They say that doing so will help minimize speculation and ensure accurate communication with players. Milestone reviews are conducted regularly in collaboration with Krafton Creative Studios across all projects, they continued. These reviews help assess development progress, define clear objectives, and ensure that each product aligns with Krafton's standards in both creative creativity, and quality. You can see all the weasel words that are in place in this statement, and they're going to use it as justification for getting rid of those studio heads because, oh yeah, we have clear objectives. Oh, we have a certain values and standards that need to align with our own practices. And yeah, if we find some people that either cost too much or don't align with those standards, well, we can just get rid of them because we have an air of quality to maintain. This process is central to Krafton's commitment to delivering polished, high-quality games at the right time. Currently, Subnautica 2 is scheduled for release in early 2026. I doubt it, after being delayed. According to Krafton, the delay is a result of former leadership abandoning their responsibilities. It claims that has been denied by the studio's co-founders, which, yeah, now we can go back to the lawsuit announcement because this is where it gets fun. This is where the fun begins. As I wrote last week, this is from Charlie Cleveland. We know in our souls that our game is ready for early access. That's just how we roll. But we'd like nothing more than for you to play it. Game devs live for this, but it's not currently under our control. We've now filed a lawsuit against Krafton. The details should eventually become at least mostly public. You all deserve the full story. Cleveland shares that suing a multi-billion-dollar company was not on his bucket list, but the situation needs to be made right. He said that Subnautica has been his life's work and would never willingly abandon it or the amazing team that has poured their hearts into it. Cleveland has touched on the $250 million that was scheduled to be paid out should specific goals be reached. It was earlier in the message. Krafton said that 90% of the $250 million was scheduled to be paid to Cleveland, Maguire, and Gill. However, Cleveland said that any idea that the three planned on keeping all of the money from them for the earnout is totally untrue. Because, yeah, I would imagine based on the leadership structure at that studio, yeah, they would get a majority of the payout, and then that would end up trickling through the rest of the company. That's just the way that things work, and you could be as uncharitable as you want by saying, no, see, they were just going to keep it all. No, that's not how this shit normally works, okay? That's corporate structure to a T. I'm in this industry because I love it, not for the riches. Historically, we've always shared our profits with the team and did the same when we sold the studio. You can be damned sure that we'll continue with the earnouts and bonuses as well. They deserve it all for all their incredible work trying to get this great game into your hands. Insider Gaming has reached out to Krafton for comment on the lawsuit. And yes, as we sit right now, don't know a hell of a lot about what's going to happen in the aftermath. But the most recent news, as of the 15th of July, some potentially good news for the Subnautica 2 developers. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier broke the original story on the whole saga, posted the update today on Blue Sky. And he says that Krafton has agreed to extend the bonus earnout period for Unknown Worlds employees to account for the delay, and the founders have filed a lawsuit for breach of contract. The complaint is still sealed. But yes, when discovery happens, if it goes to trial, then yeah, you're obviously going to see that stuff. But yes, about 40 employees at Unknown Worlds were eligible to share the $25 million bonus contingent upon the studio hitting certain revenue targets by the end of 2025, with a possible short-term extension. When Krafton earlier this month, well, that is still technically earlier this year, planned to push back the game's release, employees feared that it wouldn't be possible to hit those targets and the potential earnings would disappear. Now that schedule has been extended an additional year, according to the people familiar with the events of the studio and documentation seen by Bloomberg. Krafton also said that it would advance a portion of the studio's projected 2026 profit-sharing bonus pool, which is independent from the bonus, to all Unknown Worlds employees this year. The issues around Subnautica 2 are at the center of the battle between Krafton and former leadership, of Unknown Worlds, who were fired in early July. Krafton purchased Unknown Worlds in 2021 for $500 million, with an additional $250 million to be paid in 2026, depending on the company's performance under an earnout agreement. Of that, 10% was earmarked for staff who were there at the time, according to paperwork seen by Bloomberg. Roughly 40 employees each received checks of varying amounts at closing, and in the 2 years that followed, totaling $50 million, and were due to receive upwards of $25 million, and the company hit those targets, the revenue targets rather. Each employee was told that they would get a different sum, with most in the 6 or 7 figures. I would imagine based on, time accrued, what their positions were, because, the janitor likely won't get the same amount as, the lead art director or, programmer, obviously, but Gill and the leadership group, who were due to receive the bulk of the remaining $225 million, had also said that they would distribute an unspecified amount to employees who weren't eligible for the earnout, although that wasn't specified in the paperwork. Yeah, because it's more or less like it's 40 people. It was at one point in time a small studio. I'm sure that there are a couple of handshake deals, or there's just other contracts that just haven't been privy to prying eyes. On July 10th, the former leadership group filed a breach of contract complaint against Krafton in Delaware Chancery Court. Delaware has interesting anti-SLAPP laws, so this, it could end up going to trial. But anyways, one main point of contention between the two parties is whether Subnautica 2, a sequel to the surprise 2018 hit, was ready for an early access release this year. The leadership group at Unknown Worlds developers who spoke to Bloomberg said that the game was in good shape for early access, a model in which games are sold, yes, under an active development process, which, Pal World, and then a lot of, especially back in the mid-2010s, a lot of zombie games like DayZ, Rust, Ark. A lot of those games came out in early access. Some of them were a little bit more early than other ones, but other ones were just, they ready to go. Like Pal World, that was pretty much a complete game, and they've gone on to iterate it since then. And what was it? Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access for a very long time. I think maybe even the original Subnautica was as well, but since last week, Krafton has sent several statements suggesting that the game wasn't ready and that the studio's co-founders had neglected their duties, which resulted in repeated confusion, indirection, and significant delays to the overall project schedule. So yeah, the company is saying, no, I wasn't ready to go, but the developers were saying, yeah, it's, ready to hit the market. So we're going to find out one way or another what's going to end up happening. And yeah, like I said multiple times over, scummy developers are ruining the industry. But once again, it's showing that publishers trying to nickel and dime the industry, they're the true villains in this, and exposing them is more important now than it has ever been. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.